Okay. So, Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 34-35. So here we are witnessing Krishna is leaving Hastinapur, and he has gone through uh, Haryana, Rajasthan, and finally is reached Gujarat, where Dwarka is. Text 36, somebody wants to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read.
Please.
Tatra tatra तत्रत्यैर्हरिप्रत्युद्यतराहन सायं भेजे दिशं पश्चात् कविस्तो गां गतस्तदा. Translation. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset.
Thank you very much. So, just like a great personality, when going through various places, uh, people want to get their darshan, people know in advance that so and so is coming. So as Krishna was going through these provinces, apparently the fortunate souls in those places got to receive Krishna and offer him, you know, greetings and welcome. And he also rested, it seems like, during the evening part of the journey. It is said that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. Now, Krishna doesn't need to do any religious principles because who is it for? It's for him only. But why does he do it? To set an example for others to follow. Because here he's acting as a king and as well as a idol in one sense, an ideal person. There are certain philosophical speculations that even Lord is under the obligation of fruitive actions. But actually, this is not the case, as I was saying. He does not depend on the action of any good or bad word. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non devotees. Although he has no obligation, although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. So, leadership lesson in place. When we are leaders and we tell someone to follow, it is our responsibility to do it ourselves first, set an example, show how it is done, and seeing that others can also follow. Okay. Prabhupada did that for months and months. Prabhupada would be cooking, he would be cleaning, he would be doing the arati, he'd be preaching, he'd be taking care of individual problems and care for all these devotees. He would take care of finances, everything, one man show for at least 10 months. Right after the 1 year period where he was not allowed to do anything, there was a period when hippies started coming in, and in that period, so this is 1 year, 10 months, he was pretty much on his own. Then devotees, after a little purification, little bit of Krishna consciousness through the years, they decided that this man seems old, he might need some help, and we might, offer that help. And then help started coming and coming and coming. But Prabhupada at that old age didn't ask anyone, you must help me, you must do this. He himself did everything, setting an example for others to follow, setting an example for us to follow, right? Even in a household, when there are children, sometimes we tell the children not to use phone or certain devices, but then what do they see? For them, the leaders are the parents. And the parents are telling you not to do is exactly what they're doing. So it becomes ineffective. A doctor smoking cigarette and telling someone you should not smoke, it's bad for health. Do what I say, not what I do. Right? There's a common saying. It's not as effective. But when the leader sets an example, others who have loyalty towards the leader, have a relationship towards the leader, they from their heart want to emulate that action. Now that can be very stupid also. Um, should I say it? Well, I'll not name any religion. So I was talking to a person of a different faith, and in that religion, music is illegal. So they said music is banned. You can't have music with words, and certain instruments are allowed because when their so-called uh, prophet uh, saw that music being played, he didn't say anything. He didn't protest. He didn't kill them. So that must be halal. That must be okay. So, okay, apparently that one or two instruments that their prophet didn't make any comments on are accepted by their uh, leaders and whatnot. Now, who knows what was the reason? So generally, what happens is when you blindly follow, it can be questioning, right? So it's important that we follow the example and the words set by a great leader. Yad yad acharati sreshta, tad tad et evataro janaha. Right. So yad yad acharati sreshta. It's important to understand Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita that whatever the best leaders do, common men follow. So if we want someone to have impact, we should imbibe the qualities, the instructions that we tell others to do. I can give more examples, but I think it's pretty clear. So we'll move on. The Lord in human society does what is duty of everyone. But sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by living entities, like stealing the clothes of gopis or lifting Mount Govardhan. Not like even if we tried, we could do that. Uh, his acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living entities. But it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such act will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is a manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and path of progress will be assured. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, 10th chapter of Shrimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna from Dwarka. So I want to take a little time and talk about imitation versus obedience. Imitation is copy pasting. A pure devotee, a pure devotee of Krishna is beyond all rules and regulations that we at our stage follow. For example, when you go to the altar, we are supposed to have clean clothes, taken a shower, and then only we touch the altar. Why? Because the idea is externally and internally we should be clean before doing devotional activities. Now, a pure devotee who's constantly in Krishna consciousness is internally, externally Krishnamoy, right? That means mind, breath, everything is Krishnamoy. So, such a person is so pure that even if they don't wear clean clothes and touch the altar, it doesn't make a difference. Generally, we don't eat other people's uchishta, like leftover, what does touch their mouth. Disease, there's health reasons, but there's also cleanly reasons. We don't do that. But when a pure devotee eats something, we clamor for the Maha Prasad. It's called Maha Prasad because Krishna's Prasad is Maha Prasad. Krishna's Prasad tasted by a pure devotee is considered even more potent than Krishna's Prasad because it's touched by the lips of a pure devotee. So it's Maha Prasad. So even if it might not be hygienic in one sense, it is considered very, very pious. So certain rules and laws that apply to us don't apply. That's why it's called four regulative principles of freedom. When one becomes freed from material clutch and becomes Krishnized, Krishna conscious, their freedom goes to a whole different level. Think about Narad Muni, where he can be in Vaikuntha, he can be in Kolkata, he can be in Himalayas, he can be in Vrindavan. He has no limitations of what he can do in terms of travel, at least, right? Krishna's entourage. Sometimes Krishna expands themselves into multiple places simultaneously doing simultaneous pastimes. Same with his entourage. They also expand. They can expand just like Krishna. So they're as free as Krishna. Ask Gauriya Vaishnavas, who are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have a special blessing. This is not known to a lot of people. And the blessing is in Goloka, if you see, there is Devi Dham, where we are, Ma Durga's place. Then there is Shiva Dham, Sadashiva Loka, Kailash. Then there is Brahma Jyoti. Then there's Haridham, Vaikuntha, planets. In Haridham, there is Ayodhya, there is Ahubalam, there is a lot of different places. But the biggest planet, the lotus-shaped planet, is Goloka, the planet of the cows, where Radha and Krishna is. In Goloka, there is a border area called Shweta Dweep. And according to our understanding of scriptures, according to Brahma Samhita, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explained, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Harinam Sankirtan and all his pastimes are happening in Shweta Dweep. So, as Gauriya Vaishnavas, we have this privilege of simultaneously, when we go back to Godhead, simultaneously we'll be in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela in Shweta Dweep, and we will be in Krishna Leela in actual Vrindavan, right? So simultaneously we'll be experienced. That doesn't mean the soul splits in two. No. But the freedom we get, just like Krishna is enjoying simultaneously as Rama, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, different, and as Krishna himself in spiritual world, in his different abodes. In his Goloka, he's enjoying as Krishna and as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So at least we have that privilege of being with Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the same time, being in both the Leelas, right? Now, we don't know what that feels like. We can't even imagine that the element of time in spiritual world doesn't exist. So what it must be like. But what we can appreciate is the freedom we get is that level. So, so coming back to the point here, following, or rather, following the personality of Godhead or his pure devotees versus just copy pasting it, right? No, the right word is, what was I using? Prabhupada said, imitation. Imitation versus obedience. So obedience is we see something and we think, is this something appropriate for me? And then accordingly, instruction wise, we follow it, not blind following, right? Yeah, I could be giving stories, but I think we get the point. Is somebody, I don't. So one of our Philadelphia Friday devotees, I was meeting him in Bangalore and we were discussing something. And there, one line he mentioned was, I think my purpose in life is very clear. It is so and so. And hence, I am doing this job and I'm not doing that job and I'm making this decision and not that decision. And he kept on telling me his plan and everything. And I mentioned to him that this is something you feel. The word I feel or I think is a room for speculation because we are not pure. So our mind chatted and Krishna's instruction might seem similar. As a result, it's important to ask rather than ascertain ourselves, this is my life's goal. I think Krishna wants me to do this. Because with that mentality, we can do anything. Just like certain religions, killing people might be like, this is a calling from God that I'm supposed to kill all the non-religious people, right? So that's what happens with speculation. So it's important that we get it verified by our, teacher, guide, mentor, guru, whoever is guiding us in Krishna consciousness. We should not come to our own conclusions. We should come to our own conclusions, but we should get it validated just to make sure we are not speculating because our worst enemy is sitting inside us, right? The mind is a worst enemy. So we must get things validated by Vaishnavas before making that a part of our lifestyle. Okay. Any questions on this chapter? Now Krishna will enter Dwarka. Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. Any fortunate soul wants to read?
Prabhuji, may I try?
Please.
Sutta Uvacha Anartan sa upabrajya swardhan jana padan swakan dadhammau daradavaram tesham vishadam shamayan iva. Translation: Sutta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwarkas, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants.
Thank you,
Hare
Mother.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Sutta Goswami is describing Krishna's arrival in Dwarka, which is also known as the country of Anarthas. Now, these devotees have been waiting for a very long time, right? Because Krishna has been with the Pandavas in Hastinapur, protecting them and helping them and all of that. So all his wives, his children, uh, you know, he has, of course, Balaram has had back and forth with Krishna and Dwarka, but most of his family has not seen him in a very long time. And what to speak of his citizens, right? They have been missing him as well. So now Krishna enters Dwarka and he enters with blowing the conch shell, letting everyone know, I have come. Next verse. Anybody wants to read?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
स उचकाशे ध्वलोदरो अपि उरु क्रमस्याधराशो न शोनिम दादमायमानकरकञ्जसम्पुते यथाब्ज खण्डे कलहंस उत्स्वना. Translation: the white and fat bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stem of red lotus flowers.
Wow. See, Srila Prabhupada would appreciate about Bhagavatam that it's so poetic, that it just sells itself in one sense. When devoted to book distribution, Prabhupada said, how do you sell these books? They said, Prabhupada, Bhagavatam sells itself. We just take a verse and we just recite that. And hearing that only people feel like, wow, that is so beautiful. There are many beautiful verses, but this sounds very personal, right? Explaining how, same thing I've said to Chaitanya Charitamrita. The way Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes, you literally go back 500 years ago and you actually immerse and you see that how the leaves of the tree are bristling and the birds are chirping and how the devotees in ecstasy, wearing garlands and tears in their eyes, singing Prem Sankirtan. So just like the way they describe, it's just so, visual. Even though there's no PowerPoint or video, this is as good as that, So let's just read it again. It's very beautiful. The white and fat bold conch shell being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, right? Imagine Krishna's uh, air going into the conch shell, gripped by the hand of Krishna, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. Krishna's lips touching the conch shell is reddened, right? Just by his touch. When you go to many devotees worship Govardhan Shila, there are devotees who have access to certain Shilas. I saw it with Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He showed me his Shilas. He used to carry all these huge basket of Shilas. And there were certain Shilas, generally Govardhan Shila, if you see, they're cornered. There are very sharp Shilas. But then there are Shilas that are absolutely round, right? And Maharaj explained to me, he said that these Shilas actually are places where Govardhan went into ecstasy and melted. Why? Because Krishna's little finger was touching Govardhan. So even though Indra's thunderbolts were coming in, he was not feeling anything. because Krishna's touch put him into so much ecstasy that he was melting. So some of those melted stones he had access to. He was showing how round they are. You could see that the stone has melted literally. You know, like cream, how the cheese, when you kind of melt it, how it has that form, like semi-solid, semi-liquid kind of form. It's kind of like that. So uh, the conch, imagine Krishna's touching Krishna's lips, right? So, and Krishna's blowing into the conch and the sound vibration. I mean, same thing if you see in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, when Krishna blows the conch, it is explained by Sanjay that it put fear in the hearts of the Kauravas because the sound was so penetrating. The demigods, everybody could hear. Like this was a powerful roar of a lion that you guys are dead. Right? So it put fear in the hearts. The same Krishna is, I'm hoping this is a Panchajanya for Krishna's own conch, and as he's blowing this conch, the opposite effect, right? All these devotees are like Krishna's back. So just to appreciate little things, of course, philosophy is very important, but how Krishna's personal impact on living and non-living entities uh, goes to show how is he as a person. Just like the sun's reaction on water, on volcanoes, on solar cells, goes to show how is the sun, how powerful is the sun. So same way as Krishna is leaving Hastinapur, all these people are crying and the hearts being ripped off, and all the women on the balconies and rooftops are gossiping about this is the personality of Godhead, the most powerful, the supreme, the original of everything is passing in front of our eyes, right? And they're missing him so much. The Pandavas going to the borders of their territory, walking behind Krishna's chariot just to get a glimpse, last glimpse of him. Right? And here, as he's entering, uh, starting with the conch is changing its color by the touch of Krishna's lips. Who is this personality of Godhead, right? Who is Krishna? He's not just some old man with a beard, but he is a Nava Yovanamcha. Every day he becomes more youthful, right? Nava Yovan means newly youthful. Somebody who's going through adolescence. There is a charm. They say sweet 16. Krishna is always sweet 16. He doesn't age beyond that. And those of you have the great fortune of going to temples every day. I, for a certain part of my life, had the great fortune of going to temple every day for Mangalarti, for Japa, Tulsi Puja, and then at 7 o'clock, the curtain would open. Not a single day did I feel, oh, I've seen this dress before. I've seen this before. Oh, same Krishna. No. Every single day, the heart would skip a beat and the breath would stop. It's literally you become just, you can't breathe looking at Krishna. How can he look more beautiful? I didn't think this was possible. Right? If you go to Mayapur, same thing. I see Radha Madhava. Moment the curtain closes, it's just like, wow. Like that it's a gush of emotions that come. Like, how can someone look so beautiful every single day? Navayovanamcha. So that's Krishna. So these are small things that that help us appreciate him as a person. That his not only his personality, but even his bodily features, even his physical, spiritual form, not material form, his spiritual form is so nicely described by our great acharyas. Like Sutta Goswami is explaining so beautifully. Krishna holding the conch, right? Gripping the conch, nice word. And Krishna's lips, touching the conch makes it reddened. And it seems like a white swan was playing in the step of a red lotus flower, right? A white swan, lotus flower. Just imagine the imagery, how Sutta Goswami is appreciating it. So, but this is a glorification of Sutta Goswami also. We see something like that. We might see, like they say, look at the moon. Somebody sees a bunny. Somebody sees something. Somebody sees a lot of black spots. Depending on who we are, is how we see. So Sutta Goswami, in his spiritual vision, he's seeing this as a white swan playing with the stem of a red lotus flower. So that's his glory. Like when I was talking about this, the moment of Darshanarati, when the curtains open and you see Radha and Krishna, my first thought is, wow, Second thought is how amazing is the mind of the pujari, right? When Jananivas Prabhu was doing this service, I would just think, this is how his mind looks. Radha Madhav Ashtasakhi, right? This is how beautiful is the garden and temple of his heart. So that's another appreciation. So as we appreciate Krishna, we also must appreciate his pure devotees. Because that's what is being manifested. Maharaj would say, when you feel envious of a devotee, uh, think about their good qualities. Because those good qualities are the embellishments or the jewelry put on by Krishna in accordance to the bhakti they have in their heart. So when you start meditating on their good qualities, you realize how strong is their bhakti. So your envy for them will slowly subside. Right? Even between devotees, we have competition. Somebody is little close to certain spiritual masters, somebody is this, somebody is that. Right? So it's important to understand or play this out in our mind that when somebody we feel envious of, we put our thought in the devotional qualities they have. And those devotional qualities are direct gifts from Krishna, where Krishna has decorated the devotee with those qualities. Right? And then we can appreciate their advancement in spirituality and become humble. And automatically the uh, the envy subsides. You wanted to say something, Julie? Okay.
Sorry, by mistake.
Okay. Next verse, text 3.
तम उपश्रुत्य निनदम जगद्भय भयावहम प्रत्युद्य यहु प्रजा सर्व भ्रतर्दर्शन लालसा. Translation: The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees.
As I was saying, right? The same conch shell that put fear in the hearts of great warriors on the Kaurava side, the same conch shell is being used to attract the hearts of the devotees of Dwarka. So Prabhupada would say that the same current that is used for a heater to heat up the water, same current is used to use the AC for cooling, right? That is, if you think about it, following that trajectory, uh, Krishna is a source of material and spiritual. So you can spiritualize material things. And that's why we worship deities, because there's pran pratishtha. And with pran pratishtha, the deity is Krishna. So it's marble or granite or maybe some metal. But that deity, as soon as a pure devotee invites the Lord, uh, that deity becomes life. And he reciprocates with prayers and services and wonderful things. And we have so many stories that I've shared with you about the deities of the Lord reciprocating, deities of the Lord walking. Imagine, what's his name? Uh, Sakshi Gopal. Sakshi Gopal walks from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. I mean, that's the extreme level of deity reciprocation. Anyway, so the same conch that puts fear in the hearts is used for the devotees. It's like, oh, Krishna is here. So again, Prabhupada example, the tiger's teeth, death is the tiger's teeth. Uh, when a deer sees the tiger's teeth, it's death. But for a baby tiger, that same teeth is affection, right? The tiger takes a baby cub with that teeth and puts him in a safe place. And with that same teeth, he rips apart a deer's flesh. So we can appreciate that Krishna for us is our heart and soul. And for those who are non-devotees, that same Krishna is death personified. Krishna says, I come as death to those who are, materialistic. And those who are my devotees, I come and transition them to my abode. So for Dwarkavasis, this was the best thing that could happen. Krishna is back. Krishna is back. Let's see what Prabhupada is saying in the last. The sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord. as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord, the material existence of our present status is full of fear. Think about it. We are governed by fear. If I don't do this job, I will not get paid. If I don't pay my EMI, my whatever card, house will be taken. If I don't do this, this will happen. It's constantly, we are driven by fear in this material world. And the spiritual form, we are driven by love. Why do we do things for Krishna? Right? If you think about devotees who are full-time, working in temples, the temple presidents, they're fighting lawsuits, they're being blamed, they're doing all this for what? Out of love for Krishna. If they could live a simple life, a simple job, they wouldn't be able to have to deal with all that. But when you become a temple president, when you're running an organization, you have to deal with all these things that otherwise a sadhu should not have to deal with. But out of love for Krishna, to protect Krishna's properties, to make sure everything, the next generation gets access to Krishna Bhakti, they take on austerities for service to Krishna. So everything is done by fear, but we do things out of love for Krishna. When we think out of fear, then we should understand that is not bhakti. When we're acting out of fear, oh, if I don't do this, Krishna will punish me. That is not who Krishna is. Karma is different. Krishna is different. Krishna is very kind. Now that shouldn't make us lax. Having said that, we should not approach our bhakti with fear. Fear is not a devotional quality. That's why, abhay charadara vitta. Abhay, fearless. You come to Krishna, you become fearless. Out of the 4 problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem, the fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. Right? We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole, for me, my biggest fear was my grandmother might pass away someday. Growing up, even in America, every time there was a phone call from India at midnight or something, I would be so scared. I don't want to hear that news. But Krishna consciousness allowed me to understand the difference between body and soul. Soul never dies. And not only that, Krishna personally takes care of his devotees and those who are close to his devotees. Not just his devotees, but those who are dear to his devotees. So that helped me get over the fear of a death of a closed one, right? So fear is ignorance. Fear is an output of ignorance. When we don't know where we are going, anxiety, fear, all of that comes. When we know, even if we don't know where we're going, but we know Krishna is holding our hand and Krishna, the charioteer, is taking us somewhere, fear goes away. Krishna is there. What's the fear? My father is there, right? The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord, represented by his holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. There has been many instances where I have been going through anxiousness, fear, what would happen if this happens, what would happen if that happens, right? And then I kind of remind myself of this. And I turn on a kirtan by either Niranjan Swami or Parahari Prabhu or Srila Prabhupada, right? And as soon as the holy name starts playing and the kirtan starts playing, in the mood goes from anxiety to freedom to ecstasy. And when you're in ecstasy, you feel the connection of Krishna. You're like, what is this problem? It's nothing. But Krishna is just, he doesn't have to do that. Just an eyebrow raise also is not required. There's such small, small problems. I am part of the royal family, the Krishna family, right? And this is not a royal family of some region or some country, the royal family of creation. Achyuta Gotra. That's what we belong to. So what is this fear? So fear comes when we are very, down here, forgetting Krishna. Moment we remember Krishna and hold Krishna, we're connected to Krishna, fear goes away and we become confident. Even in the face of death, even if it means that one will die in a few days, one becomes fearless in the face of death because Krishna is there. So, constantly bringing our consciousness back to Krishna, we need to know what tools work for us. For me, kirtans help, talking to my mentor helps, association of devotees help, right? Reading a verse from Bhagavad Gita or reminding myself of a verse from Bhagavad Gita helps. So for you, whatever it works, have a toolbox. Create a little toolbox that when I go into depression mode, anxiety mode, fear mode, panic mode, here are some toolbox in my devotional toolbox that I can pick up. Be like, okay, let me listen to this playlist of kirtans, or let me close my eyes and meditate on Vrindavan or Govardhan, right? Or let me meditate on this verse of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshashami masacha. Matsucha, don't worry, Krishna is saying. Let me meditate on Krishna's words. He says, don't worry, I will take care of you. Yoga kshemam vahamiyaham. I will carry what you lack and I will sustain what you have. Right? So this is why we memorize these verses. These are not for showing off to people how much Sanskrit I know. These verses memorization is when we are in that situation, instant reminder. Krishna says this. Krishna is truth. What my mind is saying is not the truth. My mind is an illusion. Krishna's reality. Krishna's words. Krishna saying, I'll be there with you. I will take care of your sinful actions. I will free you from Maya. Krishna's promising me. Okay. Krishna's truth. Mind is false. That's when we can, because mind is right here. It is constantly bombarding us with thoughts. How do we get out of it? When we realize this is not real, this cacophony of the mind is not real, Krishna's words are. So going back to the words of Bhagavad Gita, going back to the real, so we should have a list of verses from Bhagavad Gita that inspire us, that put us back on track, that put us back in the path of enthusiasm. Why? Because enthusiasm is the life and soul of bhakti. Bhakti can easily become materialistic activity. It can easily become one more thing to do. Samsara dhava, lokas, another Bhagavatam class, sleep time, right? You see any ISKCON temple, Bhagavatam class, devotees are out because they have woken up early morning, by not every speaker is energetic, right? So they'll be like, and devotee is like, God. Why? Because it has become monotonous. So enthusiasm is, wow, I'm hearing about Krishna, right? And enthusiasm is source of bhakti, or rather, soul of bhakti, right? So bhakti happens when we enthusiastically want to serve Krishna. And then enthusiasm comes from what? Through purity. When we chant nicely, when we serve devotees nicely, when we associate with enthusiastic devotees, our enthusiasm also grows. It's infectious, right? Bhakti is infectious. It is not something. My voice is breaking. Are you not able to hear me clearly?
It's all clear, Prabhu.
Now,
Okay.
It's clear.
now it's okay, Prabhu.
It's clear.
Okay. So bhakti is contagious. It's not something that we earn like karma. Bhakti comes from bhakta. By associating with bhaktas, we become bhaktas. By associating with the holy name, we get qualities of Krishna. By associating with Krishna's prasadam, internal cleansing happens. So it's a very much influential thing. Bhakti is something that influences us, right? So it's important to understand this nature, that hearing the holy name, Krishna's blowing the conch, hearing the conch shell attracts the hearts of devotees. Krishna plays the flute. Hearing the flute, all the cows know which cow is being called by Krishna's particular flute tune, right? When Krishna is also he has flute tunes for the gopis. So gopis also know which gopi is being called by Krishna's. So the sound vibration is very, very special in the God Tattva, the sound vibration. Abhinnatvam nama namino. The named and the name is non-different. Abhinnatvam, they're not different. Nama, the name, namino, who is being named. So Krishna and Krishna's name, non-different, right? Just simple example. Great devotee, Pundarika Vidyanidhi, who's the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit. Or in Gaura Leela, he's Pundarika Vidyanidhi, a great king or rather rich person. And in Krishna Leela, he is Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Radharani's father. And Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani. So just by hearing the name of Krishna, he fainted. And Mukunda Datta, who's a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted Gadadhar Pandit to see, because Gadadhar Pandit, as a brahmachari, was looking at the opulence of Pundarika Vidyanidhi and thinking, oh, he's wearing silk and gold and diamonds, and he has such a beautiful palace-like home and everything. I'm a brahmachari. What am I doing here? You know? And he was getting into like, why did Mukunda Datta bring him here? So Mukunda Datta, just to show Gadadhar Pandit how great a devotee this is, he just quoted something from Bhagavatam with name of Krishna, and immediately Pundarika Vidyanidhi just fainted in ecstasy. And when he got his eyes open, he said, oh, I have this problem. I have some epileptic problem. Gadadhar Pandit said, no, this is not a sign of epilepsy. This is a sign of Krishna Prema. I'm sorry, I committed mental offenses towards you, seeing your externals. You are an extremely high level devotee. And to ask for forgiveness, I beg you that you kindly initiate me. So imagine this, a Naishtiki brahmachari, Gadadhar Pandit, being initiated by an opulent, so-called materialistically opulent person who's, doesn't have any luxuries or lack of any luxuries of life. So often devotees tend to judge people by the saffron color or the white color or the black color that they wear, right? Or how much beard is there or beard is not there, how much hair is there, or if it's clean shaven, if there's shikhas too long or too fat, or So we have this is very immature. You get to see this if you go to a darshan arati. You will see after that comes the shanti water, right? Or the arati lamp. So the way it goes is the person picking up the lamp is supposed to offer it to Prabhupada, and then to the senior most person in the assembly, and then little less senior, little less senior, little less senior, then for everyone else. Now here's the confusion happens. They don't know who is the senior. So generally, if it is sannyasi, it's very easy. Okay. But then this row of sannyasis, now what do you do? Okay, who's Prabhupada disciple? Who's a guru and a sannyasi? Guru GBC sannyasi. So it's like really, I laugh when I see this because they struggle so much to figure out who's the most senior. And then if there is no sannyasi, then what happens? Somebody dhoti kurta tilak or not dhoti kurta tilak. Somebody who has a shika or doesn't have a shika. Right? Complete externals. And unfortunately, not everybody has the eyes to see, or know a devotee. What is a devotee? Only can see a devotee. Others can't. So we should not judge based on these external things. One of the persons who used to attend Bhagavad Gita, our Bhagavad Gita sessions, uh, he said, Prabhuji, there is another Prabhu who I'm taking guidance from. He has more YouTube followers than you have. I was like, okay, fine, please go there. So he's like, I'm taking guidance from it. He has more YouTube followers than. Okay, no problem. So there's the reality, right? So we look at certain matrices, and whatever it's our life, it's our choice. But bhakti is never evident in the externals, or sometimes it's evident, but mostly don't make the mistake of judging somebody by the cover. Just yesterday, I was watching a reel of a Gauriya Vaishnava, not Iskot, this Sadyasi. Looking at him, you wouldn't think much. But as he's leaving the airport in Brazil, there is a huge crowd, all of them non-Indians, all Brazilians. One of them is a soldier, one of them, many of them are in dhoti kurta tilak, many of them are, suited, booted, and they're all crying and chanting Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. And this devotee, he just petting their head and walking by. But if you look at him, it's just a simple Bengali man, very short, very fragile. Looking at him, very dark skin. There's nothing that one would say like, oh, he's exalted Vaishnava, but he is exalted Vaishnava. And you can see that by seeing how these people are crying for him. Right? Now, again, please don't get into that because there are many so-called Babajis out there for whom people also cry. But what I'm trying to get across here is externals don't show. It is, through Guru Sadhu Shastra that we understand somebody is where. Like I was in that zone. So I would not used to listen to Madhav Prabhu. If those of you know Madhav Prabhu, he's a great Kirtaniya, but he has a lot of tattoos and piercings all over, nose, ears, everywhere. So because of that, I thought he can't be a devotee. He's more like a hippie probably. But he does nice kirtan. But I like to hear from those who are pure devotees, right? So Barahari Prabhu and I were one day we were discussing. Barahari Prabhu was glorifying Madhava Prabhu, and I said, "What is he devotee in good standing?" He's like, "Oh, he's a wonderful devotee." I said, "So I can listen to his kirtans?" He's like, "Oh, you must." I said, "Tell me more." And Barahari Prabhu said, for 15, 20 years, his service to Radha Krishna was this 24 hours kirtan that Andhra Prabhu had created. Madhava Prabhu would sing between 2 a.m., 1 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Exactly when no one is around. Everybody is sleeping. So there is no show off, nothing. And the same tune that Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So you see, his tunes are very sleepy, soft tunes, because for years and years and years, with no audience but Krishna, he was singing for Krishna, gently, lightly, carrying out the 24 hours. Now, to do that, it takes a tremendous level of selfless love for Krishna, where no one is appreciating, Prabhuji, you're such a great Kirtaniya. No one to appreciate, just you and Krishna. So when I heard that, I'm like, this is certainly a great devotee. And I started listening to him because I'm careful who I listen to, because there are many professional singers, Jagjit Singh, this, that, who take money and sing kirtan. And that's not the same. Uh, Krishna's name is Krishna's name, but the purity, the transformative power of the sound vibration that we hear, that comes from pure devotees. Prabhupada might not be the most, poetic singer, but when Prabhupada is singing, he's crying out to Krishna. And hearing those sound vibrations are bound to have change in the heart of the devotee, right? So it's like that. It's like hearing from pure devotees has an impact. What is the difference between free will and choice? Free will is that we have the ability to make a choice. And choice is we make the choice. So Krishna gives us, within limited capacity, certain free will. Like you have the free will to watch Netflix, or be in this class, or be watching something else, or doing something else. So within your limited karma, you have certain free will. But you don't have the free will to be in moon right now, right? Or to go to Vaikuntha right now. But you can be in another room compared to what room you were in. So the free will is within your circumstance, you can make a choice. Is it clear, Akshat?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'll pause here. It's 8:25. I want to see. We have 5 minutes. If you have any questions, you want to share any realizations, any reflections, please. If there's nothing, then I'll continue. I'll just read another verse. Somebody can read text 4 and 5.
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Please.
Tadropanita palayo raveldipam ivadrita atmaramam purnakamam nijalabhena nityada priti utfula mukha prochur harsha gadgadaya gira pitaram sarvas surdam avitaram ivar bhaka. Sorry. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who is by his own potency incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of a lamp to the sun. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and father.
Thank you very much. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations. So Prabhupada is saying, so you know the saying, Suraj ko deep dikhana, showing the lamp to the sun. But still, it is very pleasing to the Lord when we give him a gift. Just like a child saves money, his father's money, but that with that money, they buy a chocolate and give the father that chocolate on a birthday or something. Said, this is for you, daddy. Right? So, same way, Krishna also feels. It's all Krishna's only. But we take something that he has given us, and with our own free will, we choose to offer that to Krishna. So he doesn't need anything, he's fully satisfied. But that makes him very happy. So all these devotees, when they came to see Krishna, they brought in presentations. And has been described like, it's like showing the diya to the lamp to the sun. But that's their love for Krishna. And the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord. Now, this language that Krishna's devotees speak, it is far more endearing to the Supreme Lord than the prayers of the demigods. Because when devotees speak, it might not be very poetic, it might be poetic, it might not be poetic, but it's from the heart. And it's from their pure love for Krishna. Whereas the demigods, because they're mixed devotees, right? To Krishna, it's like, okay, they're following the decorum, the protocol, as to say. But Prahlad Maharaj, as he prays to Nrsingadev, that's from the heart, and Nrsingadev is pacified. When what's his name? The lady who gave banana peel to Krishna, the wife of Vidura, right? Vidura's wife. So Krishna eats the peel, and later on, as the actual prasadam is offered, and Vidura's wife is apologizing, I'm so sorry, I got into ecstasy and offered you the peel. Krishna's like, I tasted all this wonderful food that you made, but nothing tastes tastier than that peel of banana that you gave me. Because that's what he's tasting, the love, right? So at any given point, when we're confused, oh, I made an offense, oh, I made this mistake, oh, Krishna is not a fault finder. Krishna is a loving God, and he only sees our heart. Bhavagrahi Janardana. So we might offer bhoga and we forgot salt, right? Now we should be more diligent. We should tell ourselves, hey, next time, be careful. Having said that, Krishna doesn't care. He sees you made with so much love and sees the heart where that is, right? Rather than us, we might criticize the person or something, but Krishna sees the heart. And across the board, whatever service we are doing, success or failure, the success is that we are trying sincerely to please Guru and Krishna. We are acting obediently under the direction of a Vaishnava. And in that process, if there are mistakes and difficulties and whatnot, it's all glorious. Because, in fact, it's pure. Prabhupada said, all my disciples are pure devotees. Why? They might not be knowing right hand, left hand. They might not be knowing all the mantras. They might not be fully clean all the time. But they are following their guru's instruction word for word. Hence, I consider all my disciples pure devotees because they're purely following their guru's instruction. That is their purity, right? So, intention, love, action. Now, action, the results are in the hands of Krishna, but the intention, love, and action, thinking, feeling, willing, is our choice, our free will. As long as that is intensely, Krishna, this is for you. This is the best of my ability. Please accept it. Krishna accepts it. All right. With that, we'll end today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, and see you next Friday.